Everybody, Steve DeLaviaga, Rise Up Sales Excellence. I am so happy and proud to announce our guest on our podcast today, Mr. Chris Heller from Ojo Labs. Christopher, how are you?
I'm doing great, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So Chris is a longtime real estate guy, and I'm selfish here. I love seeing longtime real estate minds that make their way into running, operating, and visioning tech companies in real estate. Because Chris, you and I know a lot of guys in the tech space in real estate that didn't sell a single house. You sold more houses than almost anyone. Now you're in that space. So first, give us a little roadmap of yourself, elite team to CEO Keller Williams, other things, why you kind of made that drop, and then why you ended up at Ojo. So walk us through your pathway of career, my friend.
Sure. I mean, I started off like everyone else as an individual agent. That was in the end of 1988, and became Rookie of the Year. Didn't know what I was doing. Had no direction. The manager at the time had a single piece of paper that he gave me, and it was a script for calling for sale by owners. So that's all I knew, and that's all I did. And that year I sold 27 homes. I think 24 of them were for sale by owners that I listed. And
in San Diego, right?
It's in San Diego. And then, as the next year wanted to figure out how to do more, and I knew I couldn't work any harder or any longer. So I hired someone, which back then was kind of unheard of, to have an assistant, especially I was one of the young whippersnappers in the office. And so I got a lot of snide remarks and strange looks when I hired an assistant, but probably the same way I was looking at them, watching them stuff envelopes for 5 hours a day, saying, why aren't you paying someone to do that? But anyways, 16 years at that same company, which was Prudential California Realty. And then in 2004, joined Keller Williams. By 2006, launched a Keller Williams franchise in San Diego. And 2009, I was the #1 Keller Williams agent in the world. In 2010, I accepted a role at the headquarters, became the president of the international division. So I was launching Keller Williams globally, over 20 different countries. And that was a big challenge and a lot of fun. Got a lot of cool experiences. And then in 2015, they asked me if I'd take over as the CEO of the company, and they didn't have to twist my arm very hard. I said, sure. And 2.5 years later, when I finally left Keller Williams, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I ended up joining Anthony Shea at Loan Depot. Loan Depot is the #2 non-bank lender in the country, and became the CEO of a sister company called Mellow Home. During that time, actually prior to that, I had met the founders of Ojo, and they had asked me to become an advisor to their company, which I did, and I was an early investor. And then I became a board member, and then decided to join them full time in July of 2019. They were getting big enough where they could really use my help, and they're such an awesome team that I thought, okay, if you're going to work anywhere really hard, I want to do it with people that I like and have a lot of fun with. So that's why I'm at Ojo.
That's a great journey. And I think it's interesting because you make a good point. We all get to a stage in our life, kind of like Bull Durham, where we just don't feel like trying out anymore. And if we're going to work with somebody, we're going to find people that we trust, that we like. And if we're going to go to battle every day, it's got to be with people with a vision of growth. I mean, I love Ojo because, Chris, they feel like they're on offense. They're on offense. They want to grow. They're committed to growth. It's not like you're playing defense. No disrespect to Keller Williams or my former company, Fidelity. Great company, but they tend to got to play defense when you get that big. Is that how you felt?
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head, Steve. It's got to be people. It's got to be people that I like and respect and trust. Those are the big things. And I learned. I've learned a lot of great lessons over the years, and one of them is that no amount of money is worth being in a situation where you don't have those things. It's just like my wife calls it the gift of the second marriage. So after the first one, you know exactly what you want and what you don't want. And same with some of us who have been around for a while.
Exactly. So you decided to come to Ojo. Now this is almost a startup, right? They got their funding, they have their financial capital. So you have patient money, but walk us through that, because you're leaving what you're doing to go to this. And this was basically, you're starting up from scratch, having to build this thing from the ground up. Let's talk about how many connections you're doing, all the things you've done, because you've done an awful lot in a 1.5 years, 2 years you've been there.
Yeah, it is. It is very much a startup. I mean, there's pros and cons to that. People always say, "Well, how is it?" And I'll say, "It depends on the day of the week." On one day it looks like you're going to become the next multi-billion-dollar company, and the next day it looks like you're going to crash into a mountain. So it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. But like any big opportunity comes with big challenges, and uh, I like that. And sometimes my wife will remind me, but I like a big challenge, and we have big challenges and big opportunities. We've done some strategic acquisitions. We had purchased WolfNet Technologies, which was the largest aggregator of MLS data. So that gave us all the MLS data that we needed to operate Ojo, the product. And then we had an opportunity in the middle of the pandemic to not only raise money, but to acquire one of the best kept secrets in the industry. And John Berkowitz, our CEO, did a beyond phenomenal job of pulling that off. And so when we acquired Movoto.com last year, that gave us a real estate portal with over 20 million users, unique visitors a month. Generates a lot of consumers that have real estate wants or needs. And that was really the impetus to us. We were going to start our own referral network at some point anyways, but when we made that acquisition, then it was absolutely imperative that we had a referral network of great agents to connect these consumers to, because we know our goal is to have the happiest consumers and the happiest agents, and to have it for our consumers to have a great experience. And the best service providers know how to provide the best experience.
It's so true, and people don't get it, but the better the agent, the better the lead, right? It's not the other way. Like, I want the good leads. I'm like, you got it all wrong. There are no good or bad leads. There's only what you do with them, how you follow up, how you engage. So the better the Realtor Elite team program involved, the better the consumer experience is going to be, and the better the result, more closings you're going to get.
Yeah.
Which everyone in this business for conversion. So that's great.
Yeah, and good agents really understand that. The newer agents or agents that haven't developed the skills yet don't like to hear that. They don't like to hear that there's no bad leads, there's only bad follow-up, right? To borrow one of your lines. So yep. They want to complain, they want to do that. But when here's what I tell all our agents, the same thing I tell my real estate team that I still have in San Diego. Every person that you meet is either now business, future business, or future opportunity for referrals. And any of those are good. They're all good. Now none of it happens magically. You have to have great systems and great follow-up, and really, as an agent, follow-up is where, that's where the money gets made.
100%. And I think the reality is, let's talk about Ojo, what it is. You have Movoto, which is your portal. That's where people do search. And you're right, it was a great kept secret. We looked at F&F. It's a beautiful product. Now, the nice thing is they've got activity, but you had to get your ISAs built out, your AI built out that could communicate with these people. So I tell you what, I hear, Chris, over and over from our 465 teams at Rise. They say this over and over. The most qualified lead we get, Steve, of all your lead sources is Ojo Labs. Why is that AI and why is that ISA piece been so vital for you guys?
Yeah, and we were fortunate because we actually developed the AI was the first thing that the company started to work on in 2015 and 16. And then and shortly after that was the ISA team, which is now a team of almost 300 on the island of St. Lucia in a state-of-the-art call center. Actually, right now, most of them are in their homes, but when the more vaccinations get distributed, they'll be back in this beautiful call center that we have down there. You're going to have to come and visit, Steve.
I'd love that.
So we had that beginning because a little over 3 years ago, we started a partnership with Realogy, and a lot of people don't know this, but all the consumers that have been going to cbhomes.com, all those leads were coming to Ojo, where we would triage them, introduce them to Ojo, the product, we'd nurture, incubate them. And then when someone was ready to be connected to an agent, we would have a conversation with them and make sure that connecting to an agent was the next best, or what should be happening. And then we would make that introduction to one of those Coldwell Banker agents. So we already had those pieces put into place. When we acquired Movoto, then it was just really ramping those up, because now our lead volume increased, dramatically.
I love that. And I think that, so right now, what are you guys doing? About 21,000 warm connections a month right now?
More than that. We're pushing this month. This month that we're in, we'll probably be pretty close to 30,000.
Think about this, right? Started December 1, right? Literally.
December 3rd, to be exact.
Yep, there you go. You're 3 months in, already at 30,000. So, I mean, how big can this go? Could Ojo be the new Realtor.com Opcity? Is that what it's doing? Is it trying? I mean, I know we don't want to always compete a little. Like to throw a little game in this.
So, it can be very big. And the Movoto team, Movoto is one of the fastest growing portals in terms of traffic. It's a very agile team. They're very focused. When you think of the top 5 of Zillow, Realtor, Trulia, Redfin, and then Movoto. Movoto has been picking up ground on those. Now we have a long ways to go to be in the same neighborhood of Zillow, if ever. That's okay. We don't have to beat Zillow to be a very large and successful company. But we are. That team is very focused, and it will continue to grow. The amount of consumers that we come in contact with will continue to grow. We have some other strategic partnerships that will be kicking in more and more. And we're about, actually, technically, we did launch in Canada, just in Toronto, and we'll be launching nationwide in Canada over the next several months. So we will continue to grow here in the US and obviously in Canada now.
So, Chris, what's the key to traffic, right? Because we're all fighting for the same consumer. You know this. There's not more homes being sold. We're going to sell 5.4 to 5.9 million homes every year. There's all these leads going around. How has Ojo done such a good job of actually catching that consumer, which might also be searching on a Zillow or on Realtor, and then bringing it over there?
Yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, I think we had an advantage because we didn't start off as a Movoto was selling their leads when we acquired them, and they were selling them to Realtor.com. That's not our model. Our model is take a consumer, see how we can help them, either onboard them onto Ojo so they can interact with Ojo and discover what's important to them and discover properties that are a good fit and a good match for them. And then when they're ready to be connected to an agent, or if they want to be connected to an agent right now, we have the ability using our live transfer technology to, while we're on the phone with them, notify you, Steve, and then call you and make that introduction. I think our focus is very narrow. We're not trying to do a bunch of things. We're not also an iBuyer. We're not also a big brokerage company. We're not also a mortgage company. Like this is what we do and what we focus on all day long, and on how to do it better, how to provide a better experience for the consumer and a better experience for the agent. We know the better that we do at that, and the better our agents are, then the more success everyone has.
I can't tell you how refreshing it is. And you know this, you and I are like-minded this way, which is one of the reasons we get along so good. Let's talk about open ecosystem versus closed ecosystem. And quite frankly, I think there's a race in real estate to one side or the other, right? And I know, you've got the Zillow who's going to have their closed ecosystem. They're a broker now with a title company and a mortgage company and a portal and their own set of ancillary services. And they're trying to keep the consumer in their closed ecosystem. I think you and I subscribe to the fact that an open ecosystem is the best way to serve the consumer, because you're offering a best-in-class agent with choice, competition, best, strongest wins. Talk to me about your open ecosystem vision, because you really had this, Chris, before most guys did. Yeah,
it was something even, 6 years ago. I remember having these conversations with Gary Keller. Our philosophy at Ojo is that the consumer having choices is really important, because as consumers, that's what we want. Now we may, as a consumer, let's say retail shopping. We can do retail shopping anywhere online, whether it's REI.com or Amazon, but we have those choices. We're going to have our favorites, and we're going to have our go-to places. Even at Ojo, when we, and if and when we start to introduce other services, it'll still be with the consumer having a choice. Like even if we magically had a mortgage company tomorrow, it'd be like, hey, here's 3 or 4 mortgage options that you have. Um, the I think it's just important. I think consumers want optionality. They want there's at a certain level they want a one-stop shop or a seamless way to get everything they need, but they want to have choices. That's always been the case. The key for us as a company, just like it is for an individual agent, the key is to be able to offer the most value and the best service so that you're the one that they choose to do business with.
How can you be better and different in a market where lots of people look the same? And the truth is, I think kind of like we have in America, Chris, I think you're seeing real estate's middle class get eroded. Either your teams are getting more elite, better, running better businesses, and these folks either joining one of those teams as a single agent or trying to work their way out of that, to your point, where they get tired of being so busy. Now they want to start a team and a business. I think those 6 to 10 deals a year, that's going to be a really hard market for people to continue in. You agree?
Yeah, it is. It's been getting tougher and tougher. It's when I broke in as a new agent, it was a pretty level playing field, and the things that I needed to do to be successful, and the things that the successful agents were already doing were pretty much the same, and there was no economic advantage that they had because they were already successful. Like it was like who could knock on the most doors and make the most phone calls and have the best skills to convert a for sale by owner or an expired listing or to get that listing presentation signed. Now, as a new agent, consumers are coming in contact with so many platforms and so many companies and so many models before they ever come in contact with an agent that you have to be aligned with some of those to augment your business or to help build your business. And individual agents have a hard time doing that, or they have to be able to go out and vie or compete with those same consumers online, and that can be really expensive. I mean, the top teams are all spending a lot of money to generate leads, and individual agent can't. It doesn't make sense for an individual agent to try to do that. You'd be like a medical student. You'd be in debt for several years before you turn to profit.
True story. And that's why reality wise is you're going to see the number of realtors that are licensed shrink, because either you're going to join a team or you're going to get out and do something else. And it's going to be hard. And I think people running businesses are going to have an advantage. All right. So you start on December 3rd. Here we are now, March, whatever it is, 13th, 14th, whatever. And now you're in 31,000 warm connections a month through the consumer base. Give me the roadmap for the rest of this year, and then give me the next 12 months after that. What's it look like?
Yeah, so we actually, in a perfect world, as you're building connections and plumbing and everything else, you would work on a piece, test it. You would turn the water on a little, make sure it comes out the faucet and everything else. In our situation, it was turn the fire hose on and water spraying out of the plumbing everywhere, and so we've been just triaging that and plugging holes and everything else. Because we just, we acquired the company and then acquired the leads and then had to build the network quickly and then figure out how to get, smooth introductions going. So over the next, let's say the remainder of the year, we will be, a lot of things will be focused on. One is our agent dashboard, where our agents receive their leads and how they update the status. That will become much more user-friendly, much more operationally beneficial to the agents and the teams. How we introduce consumers to agents, we'll be working on that throughout the rest of the year, where we will be providing the agents and the teams with more information on who that consumer is and what they're looking for and where they're looking before they say, yes, introduce me to them. So in that way, we can improve that match with the right consumer and the right agent. Another thing we'll be working on this year is geographically how we're matching agents and consumers. Up until this point, if someone was looking in Chicago or even at a specific property in Chicago, we might ping 5 agents in Chicago in that area, but they might be like from one end to the other. And that's hard for an agent, and especially around some of these big cities. When you get connected to a consumer and they're looking, on the other side of the city, an hour away or 90 minutes away, it's like, so we'll get better at how we're connecting people from a geographic basis. Also, this year we'll be working on how we can better vet the consumers so that we're not connecting someone that shouldn't be connected, and doing a better job of connecting people that should be connected. One of the things that's happening in the market in general in the US is there's a big disparity between where prices are and where like first time buyers are. And there's a lot of people that are looking that have a low budget. Their affordability is, what I was didn't make up a number, $100,000. Now, in some markets, that is virtually impossible, right? If you're in LA, you're not, you can't buy a parking space for $100,000. But in some parts of Southern California and some parts or in the outskirts of cities, there's still properties that that those consumers can acquire. And we want to make sure that we have agents for every consumer. I mentioned one of our goals is to have the happiest consumers and the happiest agents. Another one of our goals is to be able to serve 100% of the consumers we come in contact with. So when we do have a consumer that's looking for a certain type of property or a certain area or a certain price range, that we know which agents are able and willing to help those consumers and be able to make those matches versus mismatching them with an agent that that probably isn't a good fit. So that's all those things I mentioned are things that we'll be addressing the remainder of this year.
So what I heard there, my brother, because in my world, you're looking for the data science and the algorithm. I heard put your location settings on, Mr. Agent, on your phone so that people know where you are. So if you're closer to a consumer, you're going to be more connected highly. I also heard don't cherry pick leads. We have some consumers that need our agent's ability to educate, inform, and give knowledge to. And some of that is, hey, we can't afford a house at 100. Let me get you with my lender partner. Let's put you on a plan. Let's start saving money. Let's get you qualified. That's still a lead. Like you said, it's a future, but it's not a bad lead. And we have to serve the consumer. We can't just go, I want all the now buyers for $500,000 or more. Here we go. I tell our agents, you got to earn your way into that cycle, some good, some bad. Remember the REO days, Chris? If you sold some of the REO days, hey, Chris, I just want the good assets. Can you give me those ones? It didn't work like that. You got a triage of stuff, and some good, some bad, some in the middle. Leads are the same.
Well, and you're absolutely right. It's and I think the good agents understand this, but a good lead and a good consumer is one that you can help that ends up being happy with you and becomes a raving fan. I mean, I remember years ago, one of the first times I had sold a multi-million-dollar house, they were a referral from a first-time buyer that I think I had helped with $150,000 or $200,000 house. And several years later, they introduced me to their parents who had big bucks and ended up buying a $2 million house. And so everyone is a future referral source or a future repeat and referral business. I mean, I have clients that, I've helped them a long time ago with a $170,000 house. And over the years, now they're in the multi-million-dollar homes. And so, I don't think as agents, we should ever discount a consumer or their price point or anything else. We just need to figure out how we can serve them and serve them at a high level. And if we can't, then know that up front and say, hey, I'm not the best fit for you. I'm not knowledgeable on those types of properties. I'm not knowledgeable in that area. And let Ojo find you someone who is.
I love that. All right. A little philosophy here now. 10 years ago, my brother, there were no public entities, no public brokerages. 0% of our entrepreneurial independent contractor agents were in public companies. Today, it's 44.5% of every realtor in America resides in a public company. And if Keller Williams has public, that would put it over 60%.
Yeah.
What are your good?
By the way, it's not if, it's when they go public.
Yeah, that's you see what's happening. People can't compete with public money. I mean, when Open Door can come out at 14 billion, never made $1, and Fidelity National Financial, 42 years old, made $1.5 billion, is worth 11 billion. you know the world's changed.
Yeah.
What's your take on that? Good, bad, and different for the industry? What do you think about that? This shift towards public money becoming something that's going to be taking over the real estate space at the majority level.
Yeah, I try not to put a lot of energy in having judgment around what's good or bad or everything else, because it's out of my control. So, you know, I've always had the mindset that I don't care what the rules of the game are, as long as I know what they are, and then I'll adapt accordingly. So, you know, in the world, you know, when we look at iBuyers, for example, um, who you know, in San Diego, where my market is, Zillow came last year, opened or just started in San Diego. But 2 years ago, I started offering iBuying as an option to my consumers because I knew at some point I'd be competing with these large companies. So it was just adapting to what was coming. So I think as agents, look at in a lot of different areas of our industry, the horse is out of the barn, and you're not getting it back in. You know, whether it's around data, whether it's around you know, the capital markets that have come into our industry in a big way, and the companies that are raising serious money. So if I look at it from an agent's perspective, then all I'm focused on is what do I need to do to be able to keep providing a high level of service, you know, meet and exceed the expectations of the consumer, whose expectations are constantly changing and evolving and being raised. And then from let's say a brokerage viewpoint, you know, if I own brokerages or brokerage, you know, what do I need to do to be able to remain profitable, to be able to offer a great platform to the agent so that they're either attracted to come to my brokerage or not want to leave my brokerage. And then at the industry level, for the big companies that are competing, or even a company like Ojo's, okay, where are we going to go deep? Where are we going to focus in to where, you know, we can gain a lot of traction and become you know, a serious player. There's some people that are of the opinion that, you know, it's a winner take all, that there's going to be a winner. I don't subscribe to that. You know, even if we look at other examples, look at it's, you know, some could argue that Amazon has won it all. Well, they haven't. You know, look, Walmart and many other retailers are thriving in competing with Amazon. Is Amazon the 300-pound gorilla? Absolutely. And I don't see that changing, but it doesn't mean there's not room for others.
Well, see, this is what it comes down to. What separates Walmart, who has had their best e-commerce year and grew faster than Amazon and Costco and places like, you know, then the ones that didn't, like Toys R Us and Blockbuster, never really moved to some kind of D2C operational. So truth is in real estate, and Chris said this, and you guys got to hear it. It doesn't matter what the game or the market of the moment is. There'll always be a market. There'll always be a game. Play it better than everybody else. Play it faster, smarter, look in front. I'm telling you now, we're not going to get less money coming into real estate and real estate tech, because, you know, I think we're just getting started. We're in the third, fourth inning. We're not in the eighth inning. More's coming, right? So make sure you're able to offer value in the face of what we're doing. All right, closing comments. I love the title you have, because to me, I wish everybody had one. Chief Real Estate Officer. Was it something they were conscious of to get your skill set, your knowledge in both Main Street and Wall Street? Because you have both, you play up and down. What was that like for you? And do you think it's important to have it in the company? Obviously you should.
Yeah, it's important. And, you know, John Berkowitz, our CEO, you know, gets the credit for the title. You know, we've known each other since 2016. You know, again, I was an early investor, advisory board member. We were personal friends. And when we finally, it was April 2019, we're at an industry event, and it was on a break, and we were walking into this grocery store to get some water or something. And he goes, "I think I'm interviewing you right now." And I said, "Well, it's probably about time." And anyways, we got over the next couple of months, we sort of worked things out. And then it was like, well, what's the title going to be? And he came up with it. And the thinking was, there's a lot of biotech companies and medical device companies where they always have like a chief medical officer, this person with deep industry expertise or medical expertise is sort of the that gives validity and can be an industry's sort of spokesperson or liaison. He goes, that's really what you are. I mean, we're this technology company. We have a CEO, we have a chief marketing officer, chief product officer, and everything else. But chief real estate officer is really what it is. And at first, I was like, I don't know. I guess we're gonna make up a title that's as good as any. But the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, this is probably about as good a title as we could have come up with.
I love it. Well, I just want to say congratulations because I'm lucky to be intimate with you guys and what we do in our firm. And you are absolutely one of the best, the fastest growing. And what I love about you, Chris, is you've shown this all parts of your career. You always keep an ear to the field. And I think sometimes guys get up here, and you and I know a few whose blinders get very long because now they're corporate, they're successful. I love the fact that you keep your blinders very short, always looking around and listening. So thank you for being a great partner, man. I appreciate you. Love working with you.
Hey, likewise. Love what you do, Steve, and the Rise agents and the Rise teams are awesome. So we look forward to a lot more successful interactions.